Will you marry me?
Yes, I will!
The 5-year-old Korean boy was on one knee in the middle of the mansion's marble foyer, holding a ring pop, staring up at me with the most serious expression I'd ever seen on a child's face. Will you marry me, Zara? I should have said no. I should have laughed it off. I should have done literally anything except what I did next, which was grin, curtsy dramatically, and say, "Sure, kid. Why not?" The little boy's face lit up like Christmas morning. Behind him, the most devastatingly gorgeous man I'd ever seen in my life stood frozen in the doorway, his phone slipping from his hand and clattering to the floor. That's when I realized I'd just accidentally agreed to marry a Korean Mafia billionaire's son. Before we continue, my mum literally bet me this story wouldn't hit 10,000 views or get 1,000 subscribers. She said, "Zara, nobody wants to hear about your chaotic life." Please prove her wrong. Smash that subscribe button, comment where you are watching from, and like this video right now and comment where you are watching from. I need you in my corner for this. Now, let me tell you how this beautiful disaster actually started. 3 hours earlier, I was having the worst day of my 24 years on this planet. I'd been fired from my waitressing job for excessive sass, the manager's words, not mine, though he wasn't wrong. My landlord had just increased my rent by 30%, and my phone was at 2% battery with no charger in sight. The universe was clearly conspiring against Zara Okonkwo, and honestly, I was ready to fight back. Which is exactly why I was standing outside the most obscenely massive mansion in Seoul's Hanamdong neighborhood, clutching a crumpled job posting for a live-in maid position. The pay was suspiciously good. Like, is this a scam or am I about to get trafficked good? But desperate times called for desperate measures, and my bank account was currently sitting at a tragic 47,000 Korean wons. I rang the doorbell. The door swung open to reveal a tiny Korean boy with the biggest, most soulful brown eyes I'd ever seen. He was wearing a tiny suit, an actual tailored suit, and his hair was styled like he'd just walked off a K-drama set. "Hi," I said brightly, crouching down to his level. "I'm here for the job interview. Is your parent home?" The boy studied me with an intensity that was slightly unnerving for someone who probably still believed in Santa Claus. Then his face broke into the brightest smile. "You're pretty," he announced in perfect English with a slight British accent. "Are you a princess?" I laughed, my first genuine laugh all day. "Not quite, little man. More like a broke princess. Is that close enough?" "I'm Min-jun," he said seriously, extending his tiny hand for a handshake. "I'm 5 years old, and I'm looking for a wife." I blinked. Then I shook his hand, because what else do you do when a 5-year-old delivers a line like that? A wife? That's a pretty serious commitment for kindergarten. "I'm in 1st grade, he corrected with adorable indignation. "And Appa says I need someone who can make me smile." "You made me smile already." My heart melted into a puddle right there on the marble steps. "Well, Min-jun, that's very sweet, but—" "Marry me," he suddenly shouted, dropping to one knee with theatrical flair. From his tiny suit pocket, he produced a ring pop, strawberry flavor, the good kind. "Please? You're the 7th person I've asked, and everyone keeps saying no." The 7th person? This kid had been proposing to strangers. "Min-jun, sweetheart, I'm here to apply for a job." "I'll pay you." His eyes were enormous, pleading. "I have 5,000 Korean wons in my piggy bank." Something about this ridiculously earnest child made every protective instinct in my body activate. He was clearly lonely, clearly desperate for connection, and I was absolutely not equipped to handle this level of cuteness. "Okay, how about this?" I said, sitting down on the step beside him. "I can't marry you right now because you need to finish school first. But if you still want to marry me when you graduate university, you can ask me again. Deal?" His face fell. "That's so many years away." "Tell you what," I said, accepting the ring pop. "I'll accept this as a friendship ring instead. That means we're special friends, and I pinky promise to come visit you. How's that?" I held out my pinky. Min-jun stared at it for a long moment, and I could practically see the wheels turning in his little head. Then he wrapped his pinky around mine with the solemnity of someone signing a peace treaty. Friendship ring, he agreed. But will you stay? Please? Everyone leaves. The crack in his voice broke something in my chest. Where's your dad, Minjun? Appa's always working. He's very important and very busy. The way he said it sounded like he was repeating words he'd heard 1,000 times. The last nanny left because she said I was too much trouble. But I'm not. I just get lonely. Oh, hell no. This was not okay. Well, I'm here for a job interview, so let's see if... Marry me. Minjun suddenly shouted again, this time at full volume. Minjun, we just agreed on the friendship. No. He grabbed both my hands with surprising strength. Marry me, Zara. Please. Kid, I literally just met you. Will you marry me? He was back on one knee, ring pop thrust toward me, eyes shimmering with tears. Please say yes. Please. I'll be good, I promise. I'll eat all my vegetables and do all my homework and... My heart couldn't take it. This child was breaking me. Okay, okay. I said, laughing despite myself. Sure, Minjun. Why not? I'll marry you. His face transformed into pure joy. Really? Sure, kid. I took the ring pop and slid it onto my finger with a dramatic flourish. I, Zara Okonkwo, do solemnly swear to be your friend and... Appa. Appa. Minjun was suddenly screaming and running toward the door. She said yes. I'm getting married. That's when I looked up and saw him. The man in the doorway was... There aren't words. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp features that could cut glass and eyes like dark storms. His black hair was styled back, and he wore a perfectly tailored suit that probably cost more than my entire existence. But it was his expression that froze me in place, a mixture of shock, confusion, and something else I couldn't quite name. His phone slipped from his hand and hit the marble floor with a crack. Minjun, he said in a low, controlled voice that sent shivers down my spine. What did you just say? I'm getting married, Appa. Minjun was bouncing excitedly. This is Zara. She said yes. We're going to get married. The man's dark eyes locked onto mine, and I felt like I was being x-rayed, analyzed, and judged all at once. Is this true? His English was perfect, accented, and dangerously soft. I scrambled to my feet, suddenly very aware that I was wearing my interview outfit, which was really just my least stained jeans and a blouse that didn't have any holes. There's been a misunderstanding. She said yes, Appa. I proposed and she said yes. Minjun grabbed my hand and held it up triumphantly, showing off the ring pop. The man's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne and something else. Danger maybe? Power? You agreed to marry my 5-year-old son, he said flatly. As a joke. I said quickly. Obviously as a joke. He's 5. I was just trying to be nice because he seemed sad and... She's my friend and my wife. Minjun announced proudly. Minjun champ, we talked about the friendship ring. But Minjun was already dragging me into the mansion, chattering excitedly about wedding plans and whether I preferred chocolate or vanilla cake. The man, Minjun's father, followed us with measured steps, his dark eyes never leaving my face. I'm calling the police, he said calmly. I froze. What? You just agreed to marry a minor. In my home. After gaining access under false pretenses. False pretenses? I'm here for the maid job. Your son ambushed me with a proposal. A likely story. Was this gorgeous man seriously about to have me arrested for accepting a child's pretend proposal? Look, Mr. Kang, he supplied coldly. Kang Jae-sung. The name rang a bell. A very loud, very alarming bell. Kang Jae-sung. Why did that sound familiar? Mr. Kang, this is clearly a misunderstanding. Your son is adorable and sweet, and I was just... Appa, you can't arrest my wife. Minjun looked horrified. She's not your wife, Minjun. But she said yes. You always say a man keeps his word. She has to keep her word too. Jae-sung's eyes narrowed at me. You're the Maid applicant? Yes. I fumbled for the job posting in my pocket. See? I was just trying to be nice to your son while I waited. He took the paper, examined it, then looked back at me with an expression I couldn't read. You made my son cry 6 times today with your rejections, he said quietly. 6 different applicants walked away from a 5-year-old's proposal like he was nothing. The accusation in his voice stung. I didn't reject him, I said firmly. I redirected. There's a difference. Is there? He moved closer, and suddenly I was very aware of how tall he was, how broad, how absolutely terrifying and attractive at the same time. Because from where I'm standing, you've just given my son hope that someone might actually stay. The words hit harder than they should have. Zara's staying, right Appa? Minjun's little hand squeezed mine. She promised. She's my friend. Please let her stay. Jae-sung looked at his son, and for just a moment, his expression softened into something heartbreakingly vulnerable. Then he looked back at me, and his eyes were hard again. Fine. You want the job? You're hired. Starting now. Wait, what? You heard me. You're Minjun's new nanny. Live-in position. You start immediately. But don't I need to interview? Don't you want references or? You made him smile, Jae-sung said simply. That's reference enough. Pack your things. You move in tonight. My brain was short-circuiting. Tonight. Unless you want to break a 5-year-old's heart? He raised an eyebrow. You did promise to stay, didn't you? Are you the kind of woman who breaks promises to children? This manipulative, gorgeous bastard. Fine. Yes. Okay. I'll take the job. Minjun's cheer was explosive. He threw his arms around my waist, and damn it, I was smiling too. Jae-sung extended his hand for a professional handshake. Welcome to the family, Miss Okonkwo. When I took his hand, electricity shot up my arm. His grip was firm, warm, and he held on just a second too long while his dark eyes searched mine. One rule, he said softly, leaning close enough that I could feel his breath on my ear. Don't make promises you can't keep. Especially not to my son. He released my hand and walked away, leaving me standing there with a ring pop on my finger, a 5-year-old attached to my waist, and the strangest feeling that my life had just changed forever. I had no idea how right I was. What I didn't know then, what I wouldn't discover until later that night when I unpacked my single suitcase in the mansion's guest wing, was that Kang Jae-sung wasn't just wealthy. He was the Kang Jae-sung, head of the Kang Corporation, the youngest billionaire in Seoul. And according to the news article that popped up on my phone as I googled his name, the most dangerous man in South Korea's underground world. I just agreed to live with a mafia boss. And his adorable son thought I was his wife. What the hell had I just gotten myself into? I was standing in a bedroom that was larger than my entire former apartment, staring at my phone screen, reading the same sentence over and over again. Kang Jae-sung, Seoul's most eligible bachelor or South Korea's most dangerous man? The article had photos. Jae-sung at charity galas in perfectly tailored tuxedos. Jae-sung shaking hands with politicians. Jae-sung standing outside a courthouse with an expression that could freeze hell over. And then the comments section, which was where things got really spicy. My oppa is innocent. He's just a successful businessman. Successful businessman? Girl, wake up. The Kang family runs half the underground operations in Seoul. I don't care if he's mafia. He can kidnap me any day, smiling face with heart eyes. He's been linked to 3 suspicious deaths in the past year alone. I dropped my phone on the silk bedspread like it had burned me. 3 suspicious deaths. Oh Zara, I muttered to myself, pacing across the plush carpet. You've really done it this time. You couldn't just work at a normal cafe like a normal person. No, you had to accidentally promise to marry a mafia prince and move into his crime-lord father's mansion. A knock at the door made me jump approximately 3 feet in the air. Miss Okonkwo? A woman's voice, professional and crisp. Mr. Kang requests your presence in his study. Requests. Sure. That was definitely a request and not a summons from a man who probably had people disappeared for way less than what I'd done today. I opened the door to find an older Korean woman in a pristine uniform, her expression neutral but her eyes kind. I'm Mrs. Cho, the head housekeeper, she said with a small bow. Welcome to the Kang household. Please follow me. As we walked through the mansion's hallways, and seriously, this place had hallways plural, with actual art that probably cost more than a small country, Mrs. Cho gave me the rundown. Mr. Kang is very particular about Min Jun's care, she said. The young master has had 7 nannies in the past year. 7. I nearly tripped over my own feet. What happened to them? Mrs. Cho's expression remained neutral. They left. The way she said it made my skin prickle. Left voluntarily or? Mr. Kang can be quite intimidating, Mrs. Cho said carefully. And Min Jun is a sensitive child. The combination has proven challenging for most caregivers. We stopped in front of massive double doors made of dark wood that probably cost more than my life. Good luck, Miss Okonkwo, Mrs. Cho said, and there was something in her voice. Sympathy? Warning? Before she walked away, I stood there for a solid 30 seconds, trying to decide if I should knock or just run. Running seemed reasonable. I knocked. Enter. Jae-sung's voice was deep, commanding, and somehow even sexier when it was muffled by expensive wood doors. Which was really not helpful for my current situation. I pushed open the door and stepped into what could only be described as a villain's lair from a movie. Dark wood everywhere, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk that probably doubled as a weapons cache, and windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Jae-sung sat behind the desk, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that had no business being that attractive. He was reading something on his laptop, and he didn't look up when I entered. Power move. I recognized it immediately. So I did what any sane person would do. I sat down in the chair across from him without being invited and said, "Nice evil lair you've got here. Very Bond villain chic." His fingers stopped typing. Slowly, deliberately, he looked up at me. Those dark eyes were even more intense in the dim lighting of the study. Did I invite you to sit? Did I ask permission? I shot back, then immediately regretted it because his expression went from mildly annoyed to dangerously amused. You're either very brave or very stupid, Miss Okonkwo. My friends call me Zara, and I'm leaning towards stupid, honestly. Given that I just agreed to work for Seoul's most eligible Mafia boss without doing a single background check. Silence. Heavy, loaded silence. Then, unexpectedly, Jae-sung laughed. It was a short, sharp sound, like he'd surprised himself with it. His whole face transformed, suddenly younger, less dangerous, almost boyish. You've been Googling me, he said. Obviously. You think I'm going to live with a strange man and his adorable child without at least checking if you're a serial killer first. And what did your research conclude? I leaned back in the chair, deciding that if I was going to die, I might as well go out honest. That you're either a legitimate businessman who's very good at making enemies, or you're actually involved in organized crime and have excellent PR. The jury's still out. And yet you're still here. Your son is adorable and clearly needs someone who won't abandon him the second things get complicated. Also, I'm broke and you're paying really well. So, you know. Priorities. Another flicker of amusement crossed his face before it shuttered back to neutral. I'm going to be very clear with you, Zara. He stood up, came around the desk, and leaned against it directly in front of me. This close, I could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the sharp line of his jaw, the way his dress shirt pulled across his shoulders. My son is the most important thing in my life. The only important thing. Do you understand? Yes. If you hurt him, if you make him care about you and then leave like everyone else, I will make your life very difficult. There it was. The threat. Delivered calmly, almost gently, but a threat nonetheless. I stood up, forcing myself to meet his eyes even though my heart was hammering. Let me be clear right back, I said. I don't know what kind of business you run, and honestly, I don't care. But that little boy deserves stability, kindness, and someone who shows up for him. If you hired me, it's because you think I can give him that. So either trust me to do my job, or fire me now. But don't threaten me while expecting me to care for your child. That's not how this works. The air between us was electric. Dangerous. Jae-sung was so close I could smell his cologne again, something expensive and woody that made my head spin. You have a smart mouth, he said softly. It's gotten me in trouble before. I can imagine. His eyes dropped to my lips for just a fraction of a second. Most people are afraid of me. I'm terrified, I admitted. But I'm also really good at pretending I'm not. It's a survival skill. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe? Interest? Minjun's schedule is on the desk, he said, stepping back and creating space between us that I desperately needed. He wakes at 6 a.m., breakfast at 7, school from 8 to 2. You'll pick him up, help with homework, dinner at 6, bed at 8. Weekends are flexible but structured. No sugar after 5 p.m., no screen time before homework is done, and absolutely no leaving him unsupervised. Got it. You'll have Sundays off. Your salary will be deposited weekly. Mrs. Cho will show you where everything is. Any questions? About 1 million. Like, are you actually Mafia? And what happened to the last 7 nannies? And why does your voice make my knees weak? Just one, I said. Why did Min-jun propose to me? And 6 other people before me? Jae-sung's jaw tightened, and for a moment, I thought he wasn't going to answer. His mother left when he was 2, he finally said, voice carefully neutral. She said she couldn't handle my lifestyle. Min-jun doesn't remember her, but he knows something is missing. Every time a new caregiver comes, he hopes they'll stay. Be different. My heart cracked open. And they all leave. Yes. The single word carried so much weight. I won't, I said impulsively. Leave, I mean. Not unless you fire me or I have a legitimate reason to go. Don't make promises you can't keep. I don't. I held his gaze. When I promise something, I mean it. Even if it's an accidental engagement to a 5-year-old. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. He's already planning the wedding, you know. Told me you need a white dress and a chocolate fountain. I laughed. Well, I do love chocolate. Miss Okonkwo, Zara, he moved back around his desk, putting that professional distance between us again. Min-jun gets attached quickly. Please be careful with his heart. I will, I promised. What about your heart? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Jae-sung froze, his hand halfway to his laptop. What? Nothing. Forget I said that. Jet lag. Brain not working. I backed toward the door. I should go memorize Min-jun's schedule and definitely not say any more stupid things tonight. But Jae-sung was looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. Something intense and searching and almost vulnerable. My heart stopped being relevant a long time ago, he said quietly. Min-jun is all that matters. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's reality. It's lonely. The word hung in the air between us. Jae-sung's expression hardened. Good night, Miss Okonkwo. Dismissed. I recognized the tone. I grabbed Min-jun's schedule from the desk and headed for the door. But when I reached it, I couldn't help myself. For what it's worth, I said without turning around, Min-jun isn't the only one who deserves someone who stays. I left before he could respond, but I felt his eyes on me the entire walk down the hallway. That night, I couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft, the room too quiet, and my brain wouldn't stop replaying the way Jae-sung had looked at me. Like he couldn't decide if I was going to save his son or destroy him. Around 2 a.m., I gave up and decided to explore. The mansion was silent except for the occasional creak of expensive floorboards. I found my way to the kitchen, which was approximately the size of my former apartment, and started making tea. Can't sleep. I spun around so fast I nearly dropped the kettle. Jae-sung stood in the doorway, wearing black silk pajama pants and nothing else. Nothing else. I tried very hard to look at his face and not the defined abs or the broad chest or the way the dim kitchen light made his skin look golden. Jesus Christ, I muttered. Do you enjoy giving people heart attacks? You're in my kitchen at 2 a.m. making tea. Very innocent. Fully clothed. Unlike some people, I didn't add, but my eyes definitely betrayed me by flickering down to his chest again. He noticed. Of course he noticed. A small, knowing smile curved his lips. See something you like, Zara? The way he said my name, low and slightly rough, should be illegal. I see someone who needs to put a shirt on, I said primly, turning back to the kettle. This is a workplace. Professional boundaries and all that. It's my house. It's 2 a.m. and I'm trying to maintain my sanity. He moved closer, and I heard him open a cabinet behind me. When I turned, he was pulling out 2 mugs. Chamomile or green tea? He asked. You're making tea with me? You're in my kitchen. Might as well be hospitable. Was this real life? Was I actually standing in a billionaire's kitchen at 2 a.m. while he made me tea shirtless? Chamomile, I said faintly. We worked in oddly comfortable silence. He moved around the kitchen with the ease of someone who actually used it, not just paid people to use it for him. When the tea was ready, he gestured to the breakfast nook, a cozy alcove with windows overlooking the garden. So, I said, cradling my mug. Do you always wander around shirtless at night, or is this a special welcome for the new nanny? I heard someone in the kitchen. I thought Min-jun was sleepwalking again. My heart squeezed. He sleepwalks. Sometimes. When he's stressed or anxious. Jae-sung looked out the window, his profile sharp against the darkness. He's been doing it more since the last nanny left. How long ago was that? 3 weeks. 3 weeks of no caregiver. 3 weeks of a 5-year-old wondering if anyone would stay. That must have been hard, I said softly. For both of you. Jae-sung's jaw tightened. I can handle hard. Min-jun shouldn't have to. You're a good father. He looked at me sharply. You don't know that. I know you love him. I know you care about who takes care of him. I know you're sitting in your kitchen at 2 a.m. drinking tea with a stranger because you thought he might need you. I met his eyes. That's what good fathers do. Something in his expression cracked. Just for a moment, I saw past the dangerous, controlled exterior to the man underneath, the father who was terrified of failing his son. He asked me tonight if you were really staying, Jae-sung said quietly. If you were really his friend. I didn't know what to tell him. Tell him yes, I said firmly. I meant what I said earlier. I don't make promises I can't keep. Everyone says that at first. I'm not everyone. We stared at each other across the small table, the air thick with something I didn't want to name. Why did you really take this job? He asked suddenly. And don't say money. You could have found a dozen other positions that pay well without moving into a stranger's home. I considered lying. Considered giving him some sanitized version of the truth. But something about the late hour and the genuine question in his eyes made me honest. I grew up in foster care, I said. Bounced around from age 6 to 18. Never stayed anywhere longer than a year. I know what it feels like to hope someone will stay and keep being disappointed. I wrapped my hands around my mug. When Min-jun looked at me with those big eyes and asked me to stay, I saw myself. And I couldn't walk away from that kid any more than I could walk away from my younger self. Jae-sung was very still. I didn't know, he said finally. How could you? We just met. I tried for a smile. Plus, it's not exactly first conversation material. Hi, I'm Zara. I have attachment issues and childhood trauma. Pleased to meet you. Hi, I'm Jae-sung. I run a potentially criminal empire and drive away everyone who tries to care about my son. Pleased to meet you. I burst out laughing. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of the moment, the dry delivery. It was perfect. And then Jae-sung was laughing too, and the sound was rich and warm and completely unexpected. We're a mess, I said when I caught my breath. Completely, he agreed. And his smile was genuine now, reaching his eyes and transforming his entire face. God, he was beautiful when he smiled. Zara, he said, suddenly serious. If my lifestyle, my business, if it puts you or Min-jun in danger, I need you to take him and run. Can you promise me that? The request was so unexpected, so raw, that I didn't know how to respond. You're asking me to promise to kidnap your son? I'm asking you to promise to protect him. No matter what. This was it. The confirmation. He was involved in something dangerous. Something that could threaten Min-jun. And instead of being scared, I found myself nodding. I promise. But Jae-sung. I waited until he looked at me. You should know that I'm also going to protect you. I don't need protection. Everyone needs someone who has their back. Even dangerous mafia bosses who are too stubborn to admit it. He shook his head, but he was almost smiling again. You're going to be trouble, aren't you? Absolutely. But I'm also going to be the best thing that's happened to this family in a long time. Confident. Hopeful, I corrected. There's a difference. We finished our tea in comfortable silence, and when Jae-sung stood to take our mugs to the sink, his hand brushed mine. The touch was electric, accidental, and neither of us moved for several heartbeats. Good night, Zara, he said softly. Good night, Jae-sung. As I walked back to my room, I couldn't stop smiling. Day one, and I was already in way over my head. But somehow, I couldn't bring myself to care. I just crawled back into bed when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. For the record, you should know that I don't usually make tea for my employees at 2 a.m. My heart did a stupid little flip. For the record, I don't usually promise to kidnap my boss's son if things go wrong. So we're both breaking new ground here. Unknown, good night, Zara. And thank you. For what? Unknown, for staying. For caring. For looking at Min-jun like he matters. He does matter. You both do. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I waited, holding my breath. Unknown, you're dangerous, Miss Okonkwo. Says the actual mafia boss. Unknown, that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? 3 minutes passed. Then 5. Then 10. Just when I thought he wasn't going to respond, my phone buzzed one last time. Unknown, I meant you make me want things I gave up wanting years ago. And that's more dangerous than any enemy I've ever faced. I stared at the message, my heart racing, my entire body suddenly very awake. Before I could formulate a response, another text came through. Unknown, delete that message. Forget I sent it. See you in the morning. Too late. Already screenshot it. I'm kidding. Maybe. Good night, Jae-sung. Unknown, you're impossible. You like it. Unknown, good night, Zara. I fell asleep smiling, clutching my phone, and absolutely refusing to think about the fact that I was already developing feelings for my dangerously attractive, potentially criminal, emotionally unavailable boss. This was fine. Everything was fine. I was absolutely not going to fall in love with Kang Jae-sung. Absolutely not. Probably. I woke up to gunshots. Not metaphorical, romantic. My heart is exploding gunshots. Actual, loud, terrifying gunshots coming from somewhere in the mansion. My first instinct was to hide under the bed like a reasonable person. My second instinct, the one that apparently overrode my survival skills, was to run toward Min-jun's room. I burst through his door in my pajamas, an oversized t-shirt that said, I woke up like this, tired. My heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. Min-jun's bed was empty. No. I was already running, barefoot on cold marble, following the sound of voices coming from downstairs. I skidded into the kitchen and froze. Min-jun was sitting at the breakfast table, happily eating pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. Jae-sung was at the stove, wearing an apron over his business suit, flipping more pancakes. And there were 3 large Korean men in black suits standing around the kitchen, all holding guns, all looking at me like I'd just interrupted a very important meeting. Oh good, Jae-sung said calmly, not looking up from the stove. You're awake. How do you like your eggs? I stared at him. Then at the guns. Then back at him. I'm sorry, what? Eggs, he repeated patiently. Scrambled? Fried? Poached? There are men with guns in your kitchen. Minjun looked up from his dinosaur pancakes, syrup on his chin. Hi, Zara. Did you sleep good? Appa makes the best pancakes. One of the suited men, the one with a scar across his cheek and an expression that suggested he'd seen things that would make grown men cry, actually smiled at Minjun. The young master is correct, Scarface said in heavily accented English. Boss's pancakes are legendary. I'm having a stroke, I announced. This is a stroke. I'm 24 and having a stress-induced stroke. Jae-sung finally looked at me, and his eyes did that annoying thing where they traced over my entire body in a way that made me suddenly very aware that I wasn't wearing pants. You're not having a stroke, he said, voice slightly rougher than usual. And you should probably put on pants if you're going to have breakfast with us. I heard gunshots. Ah. Jae-sung turned off the stove and plated another set of pancakes with the ease of someone who did this regularly. That was Dae-young testing the new security system in the East Wing. I told him to wait until after breakfast, but he gave the largest of the three men a pointed look. Dae-young, who was approximately the size of a small building, had the decency to look sheepish. Sorry, boss. Got excited about the new motion sensors. You shot at motion sensors? Target practice, Dae-young explained cheerfully. Very effective. No intruders getting through those windows now. I looked at Jae-sung. This is my life now. This is actually my life. Welcome to the family, he said dryly, then gestured to the table. Sit. Eat. We have approximately 15 minutes before Minjun needs to get ready for school. I sat. Because what else was I going to do? Call the police on the Mafia boss who was making me pancakes? Jae-sung placed a plate in front of me. Perfectly golden pancakes, fresh berries, and eggs cooked exactly how I liked them even though I hadn't told him. How did you know I like scrambled eggs? I asked suspiciously. You mentioned it last night. When you were talking about foster care, you said the one place that made you feel welcome always made scrambled eggs on Sundays. He remembered. He'd actually listened and remembered a throwaway detail from a 2 a.m. conversation. Something warm and dangerous bloomed in my chest. Appa, can I tell Zara about school? Minjun was practically bouncing in his seat. After you finish your breakfast, champ. But Appa. Minjun. Jae-sung's voice was gentle but firm. What's the rule? Minjun sighed dramatically. No talking until breakfast is done because digestion is important. Good boy. I watched this interaction while trying to ignore the fact that 3 armed men were also eating pancakes at the kitchen island like this was completely normal. So, I said to Scarface, because apparently I had a death wish. You boys always pack heat to breakfast, or is this a special occasion? Scarface grinned. Boss has meeting this afternoon. We're on duty. Meeting with who? The mayor? Other crime bosses? The neighborhood book club? Jae-sung shot me a look that was half warning, half amusement. Careful, Zara. I'm just trying to understand my new work environment, I said innocently. You know, standard employee onboarding. Here's the break room, here's the copier, here's where we keep the assault rifles. Dae-young burst out laughing. I like her, boss. She's funny. She's reckless, Jae-sung muttered, but I caught the slight curve of his lips. Minjun finished his last bite and immediately launched into a detailed explanation of his school project about space, which apparently required building a model of the solar system, and he wanted to make Jupiter really, really big, like this big with his arms spread as wide as they would go. I listened, asked questions, and tried not to think about how domestic this felt. How right it felt to be sitting at this table with this dangerous, complicated man and his adorable son, eating pancakes while armed guards stood nearby. This was insane. I was falling for my Mafia boss on day 2. This was absolutely, completely, totally insane. After breakfast, I got Minjun ready for school while Jae-sung handled whatever mysterious business required 3 armed guards. Zara. Min-jun asked as I helped him with his backpack. Are you really staying? I knelt down to his level, making sure he could see my eyes. I really am, buddy. I promised, remember? But what if you don't like it here? What if I'm too much trouble? My heart shattered into approximately 1,000,000 pieces. Min-jun, look at me. I waited until his big brown eyes met mine. You are not too much trouble. You are not too much anything. You are exactly the right amount of Min-jun, and anyone who can't see that is missing out on something amazing. His lower lip trembled. The other nannies said I was difficult. Then they were wrong. You're not difficult. You're a smart, funny, kind little boy who deserves people who see how special you are. Do you see it? I do. I absolutely do. He threw his arms around my neck, and I hugged him back, this fierce protective feeling overwhelming me. I love you, Zara, he whispered. Oh no. Day 2 and this kid already owned my entire heart. I love you too, Min-jun, I whispered back, meaning it completely. When I looked up, Jae-sung was standing in the doorway, watching us with an expression so intense it made my breath catch. Time for school, champ, he said softly. Min-jun released me and ran to his father, who picked him up effortlessly and kissed his forehead. Be good for your teacher, Jae-sung said. I will. Bye, Appa. Bye, Zara. Min-jun waved enthusiastically as one of the guards. A different one, this guy looked like he could bench press a car, escorted him to the waiting car. And then it was just me and Jae-sung in the foyer. You're good with him, Jae-sung said. He makes it easy. No. The others said the same thing you did, that he's not difficult, that he's special, but they didn't mean it. You mean it. Of course I mean it. He's an amazing kid. Jae-sung moved closer, and suddenly the enormous foyer felt very small. About last night, he started. The texts. I shouldn't have sent that last message. It was inappropriate. It was honest, I corrected. It was a mistake. Was it? I challenged, feeling bold. Or are you just scared? His jaw tightened. I don't get scared. Everyone gets scared. Even dangerous mafia bosses who make killer pancakes and have armed guards test security systems during breakfast. I'm not, he stopped himself. I'm not good for you, Zara. This life, what I do, it's complicated. Dangerous. I can handle complicated and dangerous. You've been here 2 days. And in those 2 days I've accepted a proposal from your son, moved into your mansion, made midnight tea with you shirtless, which I'm still not over by the way, received texts that made my heart do stupid things, and woke up to gunshots. I think I've proven I can handle a lot. A smile tugged at his lips despite his obvious efforts to remain serious.
You look beautiful
You're
today.
impossible.
Oh, stop it,
You've
you.
mentioned that before.
It's true.
Still waiting for you to stop liking
I'm
it.
so proud of you.
Who says I like
Thanks.
it?
I love you.
I
Your
love you
face.
too, sweetie.
Your face says you like it. He shook his head, but he was definitely smiling now. I have a meeting this afternoon. I'll be gone until dinner. Mrs. Cho will show you where everything is, and if you need anything, I'll figure it out. I'm resourceful. I'm beginning to see that. He straightened his tie. All business now. There are a few rules you should know. Ooh, rules. My favorite. Don't go into my office without permission. Don't answer the door unless Mrs. Cho approves it first. And most importantly, his expression turned deadly serious. If anything seems wrong, if you feel unsafe for even a second, you take Min-jun and you call this number. He handed me a card with a single phone number printed on it. What is this? Direct line to Dae-young. He'll get you out. No questions asked. The weight of what he was saying hit me. You really think something could happen? I think I've made enemies. I think those enemies would love to hurt me by targeting what I care about. And I think you and Min-jun now fall into that category. What I care about. He cared about me. Day 2, and he cared about me. Jae-sung. Just promise me you'll be careful. I promise. He studied me for a long moment, then did something completely unexpected. He reached out and tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear, his fingers lingering against my cheek. "You're going to turn my world upside down, aren't you?" he murmured. "Probably. Is that okay?" "I don't know yet." His thumb traced my cheekbone. "But I'm willing to find out." Then he dropped his hand, stepped back, and walked toward the door where another guard was waiting with his briefcase. "Jae-sung." I called after him. He turned. "For the record, you're going to turn my world upside down too." The smile he gave me was slow, devastating, and absolutely worth every complicated feeling blooming in my chest. "Good," he said. "See you at dinner, Zara." And then he was gone, leaving me standing in the foyer with a racing heart and the dawning realization that I was absolutely, definitely, completely falling for Kang Jae-sung. Mrs. Cho gave me the full mansion tour, which took approximately 3 hours because the place was massive. "Mr. Kang bought this property 5 years ago," she explained as we walked through a library that could rival a university's collection. "After Min-jun was born, he wanted somewhere safe for his son to grow up." "It's beautiful," I said honestly. "Does Min-jun use all these rooms?" "He has his favorites. The library, the game room, the garden." Mrs. Cho smiled softly. "But he's lonely, Miss Okonkwo. Even with all this space, all these things. He's lonely." "Not anymore," I said firmly. "Not if I can help it." Mrs. Cho stopped walking and turned to face me fully. Her expression was kind but assessing. "The others said similar things at first," she said gently. "But when they realized what Mr. Kang's lifestyle entailed, they left. Usually in the middle of the night without saying goodbye to Min-jun." "I'm not them." "I hope not. That boy has had his heart broken too many times already." She paused. "And so has his father." "What happened with Min-jun's mother?" Mrs. Cho's expression tightened. "That's Mr. Kang's story to tell. But I will say this, she wasn't prepared for the reality of loving a man like him. When things got dangerous, she chose herself over her family." "She left them both?" "She left them both." No wonder Jae-sung was so guarded. No wonder he pushed people away before they could leave first. "Mrs. Cho, can I ask you something? Honestly." "Of course, dear." Is Jae-sung actually involved in organized crime? Or is it just rumors?" Mrs. Cho was quiet for a long moment, choosing her words carefully. "Mr. Kang is a complicated man who does complicated things for complicated reasons. Is he perfect? No. Is he dangerous? Yes. But is he a good man who loves his son and would do anything to protect him?" She met my eyes. "Absolutely." "That's not really an answer." "It's the only answer I can give you. The rest, you'll have to learn for yourself." "Fair enough." We continued the tour, and I tried not to think about what Mrs. Cho had said. Tried not to imagine what kind of dangerous things Jae-sung was involved in. But when we passed his office, the one he'd explicitly told me not to enter, I couldn't help but wonder what secrets were hiding behind that door. I spent the afternoon preparing for Min-jun's return from school. I researched fun after-school activities, planned a homework schedule that didn't feel like torture, and even baked cookies because I'd noticed he had a sweet tooth. At 2:30 p.m. sharp, the car pulled up with Min-jun. He exploded out of the vehicle like he'd been launched from a cannon, backpack flying, shouting Zara. "Zara. Guess what happened at school?" I caught him as he barreled into me, laughing at his enthusiasm. "What happened, buddy?" "We got to pick our science partners and I picked my friend Taemin and we're going to build the best solar system ever and Mrs. Kim said I could use glitter for the stars." "Glitter? That's going to be amazing." We spent the afternoon working on homework, which he actually completed without complaint. Then I introduced him to my secret weapon, baking as a reward system. Every time you finish a subject, you get to add one ingredient to the cookie dough, I explained. His eyes went wide. "Really? Really? But you have to show me your work first." Suddenly, math homework became a race to get to the cookie ingredients. By 5 p.m., we had completed all his homework and had a batch of chocolate chip cookies in the oven that Min-jun had basically made himself. "This is the best day ever," he announced, covered in flour and chocolate chips. We should take a picture for your dad, I suggested. Yes. Make a silly face. We took approximately 50 pictures, each one more ridiculous than the last, both of us laughing so hard my stomach hurt. I was wiping flour off Minjun's nose when I heard the front door open. Appa. Minjun screamed and took off running. I followed more slowly, acutely aware that I was also covered in flour and chocolate and probably looked like a disaster. Jae-sung was in the foyer, briefcase in hand, tie loosened, looking tired but somehow still devastatingly handsome. Minjun launched himself at his father, who caught him with practiced ease despite his obvious exhaustion. How was school, champ? Amazing. Zara helped me with homework and we made cookies and look, we took pictures. Minjun shoved my phone in his father's face. Jae-sung scrolled through the photos, and his expression softened in a way that made my heart squeeze. You look happy, he said to Minjun. I am happy. Zara makes everything fun. Jae-sung's eyes found mine over Minjun's head, and the gratitude in them was overwhelming. Go wash up for dinner, he told Minjun. I need to talk to Zara for a minute. Minjun scrambled down and ran off, leaving us alone. Jae-sung moved closer, his eyes tracing over my flour-covered clothes and chocolate-smudged cheek. You have something. He reached out and wiped a smudge of chocolate from my face with his thumb. The touch sent electricity through my entire body. Hazards of baking with a 5-year-old, I said, my voice slightly breathless. He looks happier than I've seen him in months. He's a great kid. You're good for him. Jae-sung's hand was still on my face, his thumb now tracing my cheekbone. You're good for us. Us. I came home to my son laughing. Actually laughing. Do you know how long it's been since I've heard that sound? His voice cracked slightly on the last word, and something inside me broke open. Jae-sung. I don't know what I did to deserve you walking into our lives, but, he stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. Thank you. For staying. For caring. For making my son smile. You don't have to thank me. This is my job. No. His other hand came up to frame my face, both thumbs now stroking my cheeks in a way that made coherent thought impossible. This stopped being just a job the moment you promised Minjun you'd stay. The moment you looked at me at 2 a.m. and saw past the reputation to the father underneath. The moment you... He cut himself off, jaw clenching. The moment I what? I whispered. The moment you made me want things I swore I'd never want again. We were so close now. His breath on my face, his hands cradling my cheeks, his dark eyes burning into mine. What do you want, Jae-sung? You, he breathed. God help me, I want you. And then he kissed me. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was desperate, hungry, like he'd been holding back for years and finally couldn't anymore. His hands slid from my face into my hair, angling my head for better access. I grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer, tasting chocolate and coffee and something uniquely him. I'd been kissed before. But I'd never been kissed like this. Like I was air and he was drowning, like I was the answer to a question he'd been asking his entire life. His tongue traced my lower lip and I opened for him, gasping as he deepened the kiss. One of his hands slid down my back, pressing me against him, and I could feel every hard line of his body against mine. Zara, he groaned against my mouth. We should stop. Do you want to stop? Not even a little bit. He kissed me again, harder this time, walking me backward until my back hit the wall. His hands were everywhere. My waist, my hips, sliding under the hem of my flour-covered shirt to touch bare skin. I made a sound that was embarrassingly needy, and he swallowed it with another devastating kiss. Appa. Zara. I'm hungry. We jumped apart like we'd been electrocuted. Jae-sung's hair was messed up from my fingers, his lips were swollen, and his eyes were dark with desire. I probably looked equally wrecked. Dinner, I managed to say. We should dinner. Right. Yes. Dinner. He didn't move, still staring at me like I was the most fascinating thing he'd ever seen. Appa. Minjun's voice was getting closer. Jae-sung straightened his tie, ran a hand through his hair, and took a deliberate step back. We need to talk about this, he said quietly. After dinner? After dinner. Min-jun appeared around the corner. What are you guys doing? Just discussing the schedule for tomorrow, Jae-sung said smoothly, every inch the composed businessman again. But when Min-jun turned away, Jae-sung caught my hand and squeezed it once, his eyes promising that this conversation was far from over. Dinner was torture. Sitting across from Jae-sung, watching him interact with Min-jun, feeling his eyes on me when he thought I wasn't looking. It was the most exquisite torture I'd ever experienced. After dinner, after Min-jun's bath, after story time and tucking him in, I waited in my room. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe the kiss was a mistake he was already regretting. I was about to give up and go to bed when there was a soft knock at my door. I opened it to find Jae-sung, still in his dress pants but with his shirt unbuttoned at the collar, his hair slightly messed up like he'd been running his hands through it. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I stepped aside, and he entered, closing the door behind him. For a moment, we just stood there, the air thick with everything unsaid. "I shouldn't have kissed you," he finally said. My heart sank. Oh. Not because I didn't want to. God, Zara, I wanted to. I still want to. He moved closer. "But you work for me. You're Min-jun's nanny. This is complicated. Life is complicated. My life is dangerous. I can handle dangerous. Can you?" He was right in front of me now. "Can you handle knowing that the man you're kissing has blood on his hands? That people want me dead? That being close to me puts a target on your back? Is that true? The blood on your hands part?" He didn't answer, which was answer enough. "I've done things I'm not proud of," he said quietly. "Things I can't take back. Things that would make you run if you knew the details. Try me." "Zara. No. You don't get to make decisions for me about what I can and can't handle. You don't get to kiss me like that and then push me away for my own good." I poked him in the chest. "I'm a grown woman. I know you're dangerous. I know your life is complicated. And I'm choosing to be here anyway." "Why?" The question was raw, desperate. "Why would you choose this?" "Because Min-jun needs me. Because you need me, even if you're too stubborn to admit it. And because," I took a breath. "Because when you kissed me, it felt like coming home." He made a sound low in his throat and pulled me into his arms, kissing me hard and fast and desperately. "You're going to destroy me," he murmured against my lips. "Good. You need a little destruction. You're too controlled." He laughed, the sound vibrating through both of us. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "Then show me." His eyes darkened. "Zara." "Show me, Jae-sung. Stop protecting me and just be honest." For a long moment, he just looked at me. Then he pulled out his phone and opened a news article. "Read this," he said quietly. I took the phone. The headline made my blood run cold. "Prosecution seeks arrest warrant for Kang Jae-sung in connection with organized crime syndicate. Trial date set for 2 weeks from today." I looked up at him, and his expression was carefully blank. "2 weeks from today, I might be arrested," he said. "They might take me away from Min-jun. From you. And there's nothing I can do to stop it." "Then we have 2 weeks," I said firmly. 2 weeks to figure this out. Together. You should leave. You should take the severance pay and walk away before this destroys you too." "I'm not leaving. Zara. I'm not leaving." I grabbed his face, making him look at me. "You don't get to decide that I can't handle this. You don't get to push me away because you're scared. We're in this together now, whether you like it or not." He stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Like the concept of someone staying, someone choosing him despite the danger, was completely incomprehensible. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you do this?" And because I was apparently completely insane, I told him the truth. "Because I'm falling in love with you," I said. "Both of you. And I don't abandon people I love." The expression on his face was devastating. Shock, hope, fear, and something that looked a lot like love all mixed together. You're insane, he breathed. Probably. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Definitely not true, but I'll take the compliment. He kissed me again, softer this time. Sweeter. Like he was memorizing the taste of me. I can't promise you a future, he said against my lips. I can't promise you safety or stability or any of the things you deserve. I don't need promises. I just need you to let me stay. You can stay. His arms tightened around me. God help us both, you can stay. We stood there for a long time, holding each other, both of us knowing that everything was about to get a lot more complicated. But for now, in this moment, it was enough. Later that night, after Jae-sung had reluctantly returned to his own room, my phone buzzed. Jae-sung, I meant what I said earlier. About wanting you. About needing you. Me, I know. Jae-sung, there's something else you should know. Me, what? Jae-sung, the people who are trying to arrest me? They're not wrong about everything. I've done things. Bad things. To protect Min-jun, to protect my business. Things I'd do again if I had to. Me, are you trying to scare me away? Jae-sung, I'm trying to be honest. Me, then be honest about this. Are you a good man who's done bad things, or a bad man who's good to his son? 3 minutes of typing bubbles. Jae-sung, I don't know anymore. You make me want to be better than I am. Me, then be better. Starting tomorrow. We have 2 weeks to figure this out, and I'm not wasting a single day. Jae-sung, you're incredible. You know that? Me, I'm terrified. But I'm staying anyway. Jae-sung, good night, Zara. Thank you for not running. Me, good night, Jae-sung. Thank you for letting me stay. I fell asleep with my phone clutched in my hand, my lips still tingling from his kisses, and my heart absolutely refusing to acknowledge that I was falling in love with a man who might be taken away in 2 weeks. But then my phone buzzed one more time around 3 a.m. Unknown number. Enjoy your time with Kang Jae-sung while you can, Miss Okonkwo. We're watching. And when he falls, everyone he cares about falls with him. My blood turned to ice. Someone was watching us. Someone knew who I was. And they were threatening me. I wanted to run to Jae-sung's room, to show him the message, to feel safe in his arms. But something stopped me. Because attached to the message was a photo. A photo of me and Min-jun in the garden earlier today. Laughing. Covered in flour. Someone had been on the property. Someone had been watching us. And they wanted me to know it. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every creak of the mansion, every shadow moving past my window, every distant sound had me jumping out of my skin. Someone had been watching us. Someone had photographed me and Min-jun. Someone knew exactly where we were and what we were doing. And they'd sent me a threat. I stared at my phone, reading the message over and over again. Unknown, enjoy your time with Kang Jae-sung while you can, Miss Okonkwo. We're watching. And when he falls, everyone he cares about falls with him. The photo attached showed Min-jun and me in the garden, both of us laughing, completely unaware we were being watched. The angle suggested it had been taken from outside the property walls, but with a professional camera. This wasn't some random threat. This was calculated. Planned. By 5 a.m., I'd made my decision. I had to tell Jae-sung. I threw on clothes, actual pants this time, and crept through the dark hallways toward his room. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. I raised my hand to knock on his door. It opened before I could touch it. Jae-sung stood there in black silk pajama pants and nothing else, again with the shirtless thing. Was he trying to kill me? His hair messy from sleep, his eyes alert despite the early hour. I heard you pacing, he said quietly. What's wrong? The concern in his voice, the immediate shift to protective mode, made my throat tight. Someone sent me a message last night, I said, handing him my phone. I watched his face as he read it. Watched the concern shift to confusion, then to cold, deadly rage. When did you get this? His voice was terrifyingly calm. Around 3 a.m. And you're just telling me now? The anger in his voice made me flinch. Zara, someone threatened you. Someone was on my property, photographing you and my son, and you waited 2 hours to tell me. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. You should have come to me immediately. He was already moving, pulling a shirt over his head, grabbing his phone. Jae-sung. Code red. Someone breached the property yesterday. I need full security review, camera footage from the last 48 hours, and I want everyone in the war room in 10 minutes. War room. He had an actual war room. My life was insane. Jae-sung ended the call and turned back to me, his expression softening slightly when he saw my face. Come here, he said quietly. I went to him, and he pulled me into his arms, one hand cradling the back of my head. I'm sorry I yelled, he murmured into my hair. But Zara, you have to tell me when something like this happens. Immediately. No matter what time it is. Do you understand? I understand. Someone threatened you. Someone threatened my son. That is not okay. He pulled back to look at me, his eyes fierce. I will burn down this entire city before I let anyone hurt either of you. The intensity in his voice should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel safe. What do we do now? I asked. Now? Now I find out who sent this message and make them regret ever looking in your direction. 15 minutes later, I was sitting in what Jae-sung had called the war room. A high-tech space in the mansion's basement that looked like something out of a spy movie. Multiple screens covered one wall, showing camera feeds from every angle of the property. A large table dominated the center of the room, and around it sat Jae-sung, Dae-young, Scarface, whose actual name was apparently Min-ho, and 3 other dangerous-looking men I hadn't met yet. This is Zara, Jae-sung said, his hand possessively on my lower back. Min-jun's nanny. She received a threat last night from an unknown number. Someone was on our property yesterday, close enough to photograph her and Min-jun in the garden. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Show us, Dae-young said, his usual cheerful demeanor completely gone. I handed over my phone. The men passed it around, each one's expression growing darker. This is a professional setup, Min-ho said, zooming in on the photo. See the clarity? The angle? This was taken with a telephoto lens from at least 200 meters away. Which means they were outside the walls, another man said. Probably on the hillside to the east. Jae-sung's jaw was so tight I thought it might crack. Pull up yesterday's footage. Eastern perimeter. 2 to 5 p.m. One of the tech guys started typing rapidly, and suddenly the screens filled with camera footage. There, Dae-young said, pointing. 3:47 p.m. Movement in the trees. Everyone leaned forward. On the screen, barely visible between the branches, was a figure in dark clothing with what looked like a camera. Can you enhance that? Jae-sung's voice was deadly calm. More typing. The image zoomed in, pixelated, then cleared slightly. I know him, Min-ho said quietly. That's Park Ji-hoon. Works for the Kim family. The room went silent. The Kims, Jae-sung repeated, his voice like ice. They're sending photographers to my home? Threatening my family. Boss, your trial is in 2 weeks, Dae-young said carefully. The Kims have been trying to take over your territory for months. If you go to prison. I'm not going to prison. But if you do, they want to make sure your organization falls apart. What better way than to threaten what you care about most? Jae-sung's hand tightened on my back. They made a mistake. What do you want us to do, boss? For a long moment, Jae-sung was silent. Then he turned to me. Zara, I need you to take Min-jun and stay with Mrs. Cho today. Don't leave the main house. Don't go outside. Dae-young will be with you at all times. Where are you going? To have a conversation with the Kim family. The way he said it made my blood run cold. Jae-sung, don't do anything that will make your legal situation worse. They threatened my son. They threatened you. His eyes were black with rage. There will be consequences. But, he cupped my face in his hands, his touch gentle despite the fury radiating from him. Trust me, he said softly. I won't do anything stupid. But I need to send a message that my family is off limits. Your family, I repeated. I've been here 3 days. And you're already more important to me than people I've known for years. He kissed my forehead. Stay safe. Protect Min-jun. I'll be back before dinner. Then he was gone, along with Min-ho and 2 other men, leaving me with Dae-young and a sick feeling in my stomach. I went to wake Min-jun for school, trying to act normal even though my hands were shaking. Morning, buddy, I said, opening his curtains. Time to get ready. Min-jun sat up, rubbing his eyes. Is Appa here? He had to go to a meeting, but he'll be back for dinner. Okay. He hopped out of bed, then stopped and looked at me. Zara? Are you sad? Kids. They see everything. Just a little worried about something, I admitted. But it's adult stuff. Nothing for you to worry about. Is it about Appa's job? I knelt down to his level. What do you know about your Appa's job? Min-jun shrugged, suddenly interested in his dinosaur slippers. I know some people think he's bad. But he's not bad. He's the best Appa ever. My heart squeezed. You're absolutely right. He is the best Appa ever. Do you think he's bad? No, sweetheart. I think he's a good man who does hard things to protect the people he loves. Min-jun thought about this. Like a superhero? Exactly like a superhero. He smiled, then surprised me by wrapping his arms around my waist. I'm glad you're here, Zara. You make Appa happy. He smiles now. I hugged him back, fighting tears. You make me happy too, Min-jun. Even when I'm trouble? You're not trouble. You're perfect. We got ready for school, and I tried to maintain normalcy despite Dae-young following us around like a very large, very armed shadow. At the door, before Min-jun got in the car, he turned back to me. Zara? Will you still be here when I get home? The question broke me. How many times had he asked that question? How many times had the answer been no? I will absolutely be here when you get home, I promised. And we're going to work on your solar system project together. Deal. Deal. He hugged me one more time, then ran to the car. I watched until it disappeared down the driveway, Dae-young standing silently beside me. He really loves you, Dae-young said quietly. I really love him. Boss too. He's different with you. I looked up at the giant man. Different how? Softer. More human. Dae-young smiled slightly. He's been alone for a long time. Closed off. But you make him want to be better. He makes me want to be braver, I admitted. Good. Because what's coming, the trial, the Kims, all of it, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Boss will need someone who won't run when things get hard. I'm not running. I know. That's why he's falling in love with you. My breath caught. He told you that? He didn't have to. I've known Boss for 10 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. Jae-sung's return romantic resolution. Jae-sung came home at 4 p.m., just before Min-jun's return from school. I heard the front door open and ran to the foyer, my heart in my throat. He looked tired but unharmed, his suit still immaculate, though I noticed his knuckles were slightly bruised. Are you okay? I asked immediately. I'm fine. Your hands are fine. He caught my fingers as I reached for him. The situation is handled. Handled how? The Kims have been persuaded that threatening my family is a bad idea. His voice was cold. They won't bother us again. I wanted to ask more. Wanted to know exactly what persuaded meant. But maybe I didn't want to know. Did you do anything that will make your trial worse? No. I was very careful. He pulled me closer. But I made it crystal clear that you and Min-jun are under my protection. Anyone who threatens either of you will answer to me. Jae-sung. I mean it, Zara. I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you. The intensity in his voice, in his eyes, made me shiver. You're terrifying when you're in Mafia boss mode, I whispered. Does it scare you? A little. But it also makes me feel safe. He made a low sound and kissed me, hard and possessive and desperate. I couldn't think straight all day, he murmured against my lips. All I could think about was someone threatening you. Someone photographing you. Someone putting their hands on you. Hey. I cupped his face. I'm okay. Minjun's okay. We're both safe. Because of luck. Because they only sent a message instead of acting. His grip tightened. Zara, I can't lose you. Either of you. You're Appa. We jumped apart as Minjun came running in, backpack flying. You're home. Zara said you'd be home and you are. Jae-sung picked up his son, his expression transforming from dangerous to tender in an instant. I promised, didn't I? I always keep my promises. Can we work on my solar system now? All three of us. Jae-sung looked at me over Minjun's head, his eyes soft. All three of us sounds perfect. We spent the evening building the solar system together. Jae-sung, still in his dress pants and button-down, sleeves rolled up, because apparently he was trying to kill me, sat on the floor with us, helping Minjun paint Jupiter. Make it really big, Appa. It's the biggest planet, so it should be the biggest ball. Exactly. Watching them together, Jae-sung so gentle and patient, Minjun so happy and animated, made my heart feel too big for my chest. This was what family looked like. This was what love looked like. After Minjun went to bed, with minimal arguing, though he insisted on 3 stories instead of 1, Jae-sung found me in the kitchen making tea. Can't sleep again? He asked, moving behind me. Getting to be a habit. His arms came around my waist, pulling me back against his chest. We need to talk. That sounds ominous. It's not. It's just. He turned me in his arms so I was facing him. After today, after realizing someone had threatened you, I can't keep pretending this is just physical attraction. I can't keep telling myself we're taking things slow. My heart started racing. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm falling in love with you, Zara. Fast and hard and completely. His hands came up to frame my face. You've been here 3 days and you've turned my entire world upside down. You make Minjun laugh. You make me want to be better. You don't run when things get scary. I kissed him. Hard. I love you too, I said against his lips. I know it's crazy. I know it's too fast. But I love you. Both of you. It's not too fast. It's exactly right. He kissed me again, deeper this time. Move into my room. What? Move into my room. Tonight. I want to wake up with you. I want to fall asleep holding you. He stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. I want you to be mine. Officially. Jae-sung, I already am yours. Then make it real. Be with me. All in. No more separate rooms, no more pretending this is just a job. What about Minjun? He'll be thrilled. He's been asking me when you're going to be his real mom. Tears pricked my eyes. He has. Every night before bed. Appa, when is Zara going to be my mom? I want her to be my mom. I'm crying. You've made me cry. He laughed, wiping my tears with his thumbs. Is that a yes? It's a yes. To all of it. To moving in with you, to being yours, to being a family. To being Minjun's mom? To being Minjun's mom, I confirmed. He kissed me until I couldn't breathe, until my knees went weak, until the only thing holding me up was him. I have to tell you something, he said when we finally broke apart. About the trial. Okay. It's bad. The evidence against me is substantial. There's a very real chance I could go to prison. My stomach dropped. For how long? 5 to 10 years. Maybe more. No. I gripped his shirt. No, that's not happening. Zara. We'll fight it. We'll get the best lawyers. I have the best lawyers. They're good, but they're not miracle workers. He pressed his forehead to mine. I need you to promise me something. Anything. If I go to prison, I need you to stay. Take care of Min-jun. Be his mother. Don't let him think I abandoned him. You're not abandoning him. The system is broken and... Promise me, Zara. I looked into his eyes and saw the fear there. The terror of losing his son. I promise, I whispered. But you're not going to prison. We're going to figure this out. Together. That night, I moved my things into Jae-sung's room. It was surreal, unpacking my single suitcase into his massive closet, putting my toothbrush next to his in the bathroom, climbing into his enormous bed. He pulled me against him, my back to his chest, his arms wrapped around me. I never thought I'd have this again, he murmured into my hair. A family. Someone who stays. You have it now. We're not going anywhere. We fell asleep like that, tangled together, and for the first time in days, I felt safe. Until my phone buzzed at 2 a.m. I reached for it groggily, expecting spam. It was a video message. From an unknown number. I clicked it before my brain could tell me not to. The video showed a warehouse. Dark, industrial, terrifying. And in the center, tied to a chair, was a man I'd never seen before. Then the camera panned to show another man. Tall, dangerous, wearing a mask. The masked man spoke in Korean, but there were English subtitles. Kang Jae-sung. You think you can threaten my family and walk away? You think you're untouchable? Watch what happens to people who cross me. Then the video cut to black. When it came back, the man in the chair was unconscious. Or worse. And the final message appeared on screen. Your trial is in 13 days. Enjoy your last days of freedom. And tell that pretty African girl we'll be seeing her soon. My blood turned to ice. I looked at Jae-sung, still sleeping peacefully beside me. And I realized with absolute certainty that whoever sent this video wasn't bluffing. They were coming for us. All of us. And in 13 days, Jae-sung might be taken away, leaving me and Min-jun alone to face them. I should have woken Jae-sung immediately. I should have called Dae-young. I should have done literally anything except what I actually did, which was stare at that video, frozen in terror, while my mind raced. Someone knew about me. Someone knew I was African. Someone was specifically targeting me. And they'd just shown me exactly what they were capable of. I saved the video as evidence, then did something either very brave or very stupid. I texted back. Me, who are you and what do you want? 3 dots appeared immediately. Unknown, who I am doesn't matter. What I want is simple, Kang Jae-sung's empire. And you're going to help me get it. Me, never. Unknown, you don't have a choice. In 13 days, he goes to prison. And when he does, you and that little boy will be all alone. No protection. No security. Nothing but my mercy. Me, you're threatening a child. Unknown, I'm offering you a choice. Help me, or watch everyone you love suffer. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. Me, what do you want me to do? Unknown, smart girl. I'll be in touch. And Zara? Don't tell Jae-sung about this conversation. If you do, the boy dies first. The phone went dark. I sat there in the darkness, my heart pounding, tears streaming down my face. I was in love with a mafia boss. Someone was threatening to kill the child I'd come to love like my own. And I had just agreed to betray the man sleeping peacefully beside me. What the hell had I done? Stop right there. Did you just read what I read? Zara just made a deal with Jae-sung's enemy. In 13 days, everything falls apart. If you need to know what happens next, if you're dying to see if Zara tells Jae-sung the truth or tries to handle this alone, if Jae-sung goes to prison or finds a way out, if Min-jun is safe or in danger, you better smash that subscribe button right now. My mum said this story wouldn't hit 10k views. She said I couldn't get 1k subscribers. Prove her wrong. Subscribe, like, and comment right now telling me, should Zara tell Jae-sung about the threat or keep it secret to protect Min-jun? Part 2 is coming, and I promise you,